Well, I mean, my story is crazy, but so is everyone else's. So I say that to say, to the normies, I guess we call them, they'll be like, oh my God, that's insane. And I'm like, you don't even know the half of it. Come meet my people. We'll talk some things. So yeah, you might hear this Queen's accent. I do not look like I am from, I in fact I look more like the horse trainer on Downton Abbey who gets really excited by latte art. I grew up though in a family who looked like this, they matched the carpets, mapped the drapes. And yeah, that was always strange to people. No one understood why. Everyone was like, wow, was that the Nordic exchange student? It was so confusing. Every day, someone would come up to my parents and be like, how did she get so tall? Which is so rude, which is so peak rude. And when I see people do that now, I'm just like, shut the fuck up. But it's so rude because people are born in so many different ways and you need to just shut your mouth. And also, maybe mama got excited, but dad's okay with that and just none of your business. Anyway, so that what was going on every day of my life. And it became like this big mystery and almost like a joke. And something I would talk about, we all like look backwards and we're like, oh my God, we were in so much trauma. We were like, I would like constantly be like, hi, I'm Italian American Lauren from Queens. And then I would repeat this thing. My grandfather, so I look so different. My grandfather was nervous. Like, was his son cuckolded? So we went to the library and he did some research. And he's like, Lauren, the Vikings invaded Sicily. That's why you're 5 feet taller than the rest of us. Okay. And I think it was my subconscious trying to figure out what this was. And by performing, I can combine and reconnect and create a story if it's in myself or a character or whoever. It's not even, it just creates stories to try to suss out what was going on, because I was being gaslit every day of my life. Because I'd be like, what? Like, this is obvious. Like, people are coming up to us and just like, no, it's all in your head. And it's like, deep down what's happening, but it's like you're in a glass house and you're screaming and no one's listening to you.
Right. And at what age is all of this happening at this stage?
My whole life.
Your whole life.
I didn't find out like 3 years ago. So this is just 4 years ago. So like, it's just happening always. And so you just feel like, and the thing is like, I just didn't really fully understand how I was like, so disconcerting to people. Like, I feel like when I went to college, people would like treat, I went to Wesleyan. So like people would be kind of be like, oh my God, did I meet you in like bougie sleepaway camp? Or do I know you from my boarding school? But then I'd open my mouth and be like, what's up? And they'd be like, they'd just be freaked out. I'd freak people out because of how this dichotomy. And I could never, and my creative life has been trying to express that. And so when I did my first solo show, it was called Queens Girl. And it was about like being from Queens and like being around these different categories that I felt like I'd never quite fit into. And especially like going to college and feeling like being alienated from the rich white liberals and like not understanding how I fit in because of my class difference. All of that, my parents watched me do this, like this obvious pining for an explanation, pining for meaning, and said fucking nothing.
So in the way that many guests I speak to are completely shocked by this surprise, you sense something was off from day one, it sounds like.
Right. And they were like, like my dad's family would like look at my mom and be like, oh, look like the mailman came to visit it. Like it was like it was being shoved in my face. And then my mom be like, oh, you're making a big deal of nothing. It's all in your head. You're not really that tall. You're not that tall. She tried to tell me once. She's like, oh, kids stare at you when you come in the room. And I'm like, obviously I'm 12 feet tall and dressed like a clown. Like they're staring and I'm like very physical and like, bah, 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 bah. Of course they stare at me. And she's like, oh no, fortune teller told me that it was your woman. It was that around you in your aura is the embryo of my miscarried fetus. I'm like, what the fuck? The embryo of my miscarriage, if you want to get technical. Yeah. But it's it's insane. The lengths that they would go to protect this lie was insane.
Right. And would you confront them to be like, hey, what's going on? Why is it like this? Like, did you ever just shout it out and say like,
all the time?
Okay.
All the time. And you know what I found? I got this a crazy thing is that I got a letter in the mail that was like, hi, I'm looking for my adopted daughter who was born at the same hospital as you on the same day. And I didn't know what to do with this letter for a while. And then I tried to show it to my dad, and my dad got really mad. And he was like, put that letter away. I don't want nothing. I was like, well, why don't we get a DNA test? Because like maybe I was switched at birth and like the wrong person was adopted and like your genetic kid is out there. And my dad's like, I don't want nothing to do with this. And like my girlfriend at the time was just like, I would just hide that letter for all of time. And then I was like, oh, I just feel so bad. I just feel like, I feel like my real mom could be out there. Like maybe she's Princess Grace of Monaco, and she's just she was out there waiting to come get me, and she just left me behind or something. I just feel like my mom left me or something. Anyway, my ex-girlfriend made a bad joke. It was kind of like your mom would have already left you once. I was like, all right, fuck off. No one's sensitive.
Okay, so you get this letter, and what comes next? Are you questioning like, all right, maybe I really need to take a DNA test?
It's, this is common where like the obvious answers are there. See, the thing is, I really believe that the wrong person was adopted. And I didn't really understand DNA tests. Like I get very like with technology, I don't really trust it. So I was just like, I don't know what this is. And then when I got it, and then I was like, okay, let me get it. And then I get the results, and mine were from Northern Italy and England. And my brother's was from Sicily and Greece. And I was just like, I put it on Facebook as a joke, like, ha ha ha, I'm adopted or whatever. And my mom was in the comments, like, end this shit now. And I was like, okay, whatever. You just put in my results didn't make it. I had all these matches that I didn't know. And I was like, oh, this is all like a scam anyway, right? This is a lot. This happens, I'm sure you hear this. Your brain just can't take it in. Like the answers were literally there. And then around COVID, right before COVID happened, I went to a shaman 6 months before COVID. And She was like, her name's Janice. I love her. You think she was like a mystical? She's like, hey, I'm Janice. So Janice out with the door and is like, Janice. And Janice was like, she was like, just ground yourself. All I gotta say is you need to be grounded. I don't know what's gonna happen, but something's up. And I see Earth and I see you needing to ground. And what happened? I went on a hike to Kenya, January 2020. And I sat across from a PhD in genetics. And I was like, oh yeah, this DNA test, but it doesn't there's natural variability between siblings, right? And he was like, not by that much. So then I am like, all right, let me come home and let me deal with this. Because your brain, again, you're just like, it's like the truth is knocking on the door, but you're just like, no way. So then my mom gives me around this time, I'm like, I don't know what to do with this information. One thing I knew is they'll never tell me the truth. So I gotta sleuth around. Yeah. That's the only way I'll know the truth. So, and some people are like, wait, but you just talk to your parent. I'm like, they've been having this lie for all of time. People would look at my dad's face and call him a cuck every day, and they still didn't bend. They ain't bending from me. So then he gives me a picture, right? And my mom gives me a picture of my godfather, okay, who is tall with fair features. And I was like, is she trying to tell me on the low that he's my genetic father? Mm-hmm. Because they stopped talking to him when I was 6, getting a little too tall, too many questions asked of him.
Yeah.
So I look at when my brother looked at it. I called him and I was like, all right, look at your DNA matches. And I'm like, do you see mom's cousin? I have mom's cousin on here. And he's like, yeah, I see mom's cousin. And I'm like, didn't dad's cousin do ancestry? And he's like, yeah, I see him right here. So I look him up by name. And it says it right there, not related, mm-hmm. Which is, then.
That's confirmation. Right.
Yes. And the thing is my brother, what I found out later was that my parents just couldn't conceive and they used a donor thinking that was their only chance. And then, the juices get flowing and all of a sudden after me, They were popping out kids. They popped out 3 kids.
I can relate, actually. I have 2 younger siblings. I'm the oldest, and I'm the only one who's donor conceived. So I'm in a similar boat there. All right.
Yeah.
So it's official now. And what sort of feelings are running through you? Because to have felt so out of place for that entire time growing up, and then for that to be confirmed, did that feel like a relief to you, or was it more of a shock still because it's just a wild truth?
It was the biggest I told you so moment of my life.
Okay. Yeah.
I love telling people I told them so. I try to warn people all the time about shit. And I'm just like, and then when it happens, I'm like, I told you. It's not a great quality. Okay. And I think my kid would stem from this. Okay. It was like, I had told my therapist when I first started, this therapist I'm using for this whole time. When I first started with her in like 2018, I was like, something's wrong with me. I know there's something wrong with me, and we're going to figure it out. There's something someone's not telling me. There's something wrong with me. And I don't know what it's so reprehensible. And it is something that other people can detect. And I need to and we need to figure this out. And then I went into her office and I was like, nothing's wrong with me. That is what's happening is nothing is wrong with me. It was like, fuck you. Nothing. All this time, like you internalize this, like something like obviously like when you're a kid, you're like everyone's like who I am, literally who I am is causing conflict. How I was born, my temperament and my looks were totally different than my like little Italian fucking family, aggressive, screaming. And I was like, doo. And I'm like a little puppy sort of, and then it was so like you are just like, oh, I'm the problem, which is why I'm like, why do we have to tell the kids? I'm like, because they'll come up with their own conclusion. You just can tell something's up. Kids are just not dumb. Kids are like the smartest. They're like little puppies. They're dogs. They're like little dogs. Even a dog can know something's up. Like your kid's not going to know. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, that sounds highly intuitive to me. And then, well, what did you do? I mean, obviously you're in that mode of like, I knew it. I told you so. How did you then confront your parents if they were still around? How'd you confront your family?
Yeah, so we
like?
did a little sleuthing sesh. So I had all these DNA matches, right? So I was like, all right, I don't get who these people are. So I called Ancestry because Ancestry likes to keep it vague. Let's be honest. They keep it so vague. They know who these people are. Their DNA, they know that's your sibling. But they're like, oh, maybe aunt, uncle, maybe niece, nephew. Like they keep it so vague. So I called, and I think they keep it vague because they just want you to like focus not on your fucked up family and more on like buying the like additional upgrade add-ons. They're like, don't leave us because we're telling your life will fall apart. Just like stick on like paying us more money for stupid bullshit. Anyway, so they call them. And they are like trained. This is happening so much. They are trained on de-escalation techniques. I was like, who are these people? And they're like, we understand the results can be quite surprising to you. And I'm like, who are them? They're like, well, they're your siblings. And I'm like, all 15? Like, what the fuck? So then, now I contact all these people. I'm on the phone with some of them are in a chat group. Like a few of them knew what was up. A few of them were told the truth that they were donor conceived. Mm-hmm. And then I'm thinking, this Godfather, I'm thinking, okay, Brooklyn guy. Okay. Brooklyn guy jerking off for cash. It checks out. So like, this is totally him. So I FedExed him a letter being like, hi, look, I found his address online. I'm like, your goddaughter just saying hi. And I am sure he knew. Like, obviously people were saying stuff and he knew why my parents stopped talking to him. Right. So I am sure he just put that FedEx letter right in the shredder. Like it went right. So, but I was still holding on. Right. And then it was like a sibling found an obituary connected to a second cousin and then found out from her that yes, a med student, because we know one of the siblings said it was a med student and he took it at face value and just asked, does anyone know a med student? The everyone knows who's a med student in New York. Like that's a thing that gets around a family. And so he asked, and we had a name, we found an obituary, we got the daughter's name, found her on Facebook. 45 seconds later, pictures of our genetic father. Mm-hmm. And now I got to confirm this with my mom. So I had to do all of this because forget it. If I invite my mom, she'll try to shut it down. She'll do hysterics. So then I'm like, all right, COVID is closing in New York. Closing New York. I'm driving to New York. New York's about to close. And I am speeding to New York. And I get to my mom's house, and what happened before this is a crazy twist. Is that my new sibling, noticed we had a common friend on Facebook and called her and was like, how do we both know Lauren? And she's like, your mom and I, your deceased mom and I were friends. And Lauren's mom and I are friends. And I was like, shit. So they have a common best friend. Our siblings, my sibling and I, my half sibling and I, moms, had a common best friend.
Wow. Okay.
So as soon as my new sibling realizes this, he's like, let's just keep it, let's not, we're figuring this out. Let's just maybe, but this common best friend, the reason why she never know that anyone was donor conceived is because she has a big fucking mouth. So as soon as my mom's friend, like, heard this, like, she hangs up and immediately calls my mom. Like, she has a big effing mouth. And so when she gets my mom on the phone, my mom was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Denies the whole thing. But now my mom, when she opens the door to me, when I drive there, she knows that I know that I know she knows.
So this common friend got to your mom before you could. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Whoa. Okay. That's a big mouth. A really big mouth.
That's a big mouth, right? She should have just shut her.
Lying. Okay. So you go to your mom. And at this point, when you're confronting your mom, is it fair to say that this is really just putting her to the test to see if she'll spill the beans? Because you already know the truth, right?
Yeah. I wanted to just, like, I needed to hear it from my mom's mouth that this is really what happened.
Yeah.
Like, I had a lot of doubts. Like, I was like, did dad know? And she just gave me the nastiest look. Like, don't even, this was our decision. That was like her. It was our thing. We did it. It was so simple. They were scared. They didn't think they could have kids. They felt time was running out. And they really wanted to start a family. I mean, she was like 26, 27. They just felt like, let's get it going. We want kids. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And they used a donor. And that was it. As simple as that.
Right. And was their situation such that they did the whole sperm mixing thing with the donor and your dad, or no? Okay. Got it. So the reason I ask is I think that means there was no reasonable doubt that they could have had that you were donor conceived. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think my dad wasn't even there.
Okay. All right. So it's all out in the open at this point. And what happens next? How does this affect your relationship with them? Do you find that they're opening up any more than they normally would have? How does this all play out?
Yeah, I mean, I think like with my mom, I feel that it has gotten us closer. Now she's gone from, like, now that the secret's out, she had so much shame around this whole thing, like, really in pain about it, just did so much damage, in other words, like, that I feel it has drawn us closer. And she'd gone from, like, shame, and now that everyone's like, oh my God, wow, all this whole time it was a sperm donation? Like, that's what it was? And I was like, what can I say? I'm an early adopter, a pioneer in reproductive technology and alternative families. Like, like now she's like, oh, what can I say? I'm just a trailblazer. She's like, God's ashamed. What can I, So, yeah.
And then how did it affect your dad? Did he start to talk about it, or was he still kind of burying it?
They're divorced.
Okay.
I'd say my mom actually kind of defended him in it, like didn't, I give her, divorced parents can go. Kind of like defended my dad a bit in that, we were going to do this. He didn't want to adopt. See, interesting. He didn't want to adopt and I think one of the reasons why was my grandmother had worked in one of those unwed mother houses, baby scoopy, shady. And she worked in one of them in Brooklyn. And I think he heard enough stories that he didn't want to participate in that. So they were like, there's this thing, it was hard. I can't imagine what he went through. My brother was like, my brother's a dad now. And I was like, I don't even know what that would be like. And my sister looked at a picture. We were scanning family pictures, and, like, now looking at the pictures, we're like, what? Like, what were they thinking? Like, how did no one be like, we should get sperm at least that's Italian? They just were so offhand about it. The doctor was like, I got something for you. Like, what the fuck?
And were they advised by the doctors to just, lips sealed? This is not to be spoken of? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Just like, there wasn't much training or advocacy or anything. It was just like, yeah, just keep, they won't know.
Right. Now, okay, you're at this point where everybody knows what's actually been going on here. And I guess I wonder, did you ever find out from either of your parents if there was ever a moment where they were close to being like, you just got to tell her, like, this is too much?
That's an amazing question. I think we should get them on the line.
All right. Yeah. Follow-up episode. We'll get your parents on here. Okay. So I guess that's what we don't know. Okay.
I think that my mom, I mean, I don't know. I never asked because I asked my mom, was she ever going to tell me at all? And she goes, not until my dying breath.
Got it. Okay. So I think we've got the parents' side of the story mostly covered here. I want to shift to these new sibling and, donor discoveries. How did that evolve once the truth was out?
We got all my siblings and I were talking. Some people are a different life stage, right? If you're in the throes of parenting, like you have kids under 10, even like 10 to 18, you're just like, if your kids are into sports, forget it. You're just so busy. So they don't really have the bandwidth to handle what's happening. So some, I say that to say, like, it seems to be lining up, like, based on life stage, your ability to be able to, like, make connection and, like, spend time. Some of us live near each other in New York. And then, slowly over time, we got, like, one new one. Slow down a bit. We haven't found anyone, although we think there are a lot more.
Right. And what's the count up to currently?
We have, I think, 15 so far, maybe more. I have to go back and check the spreadsheet.
Okay.
We're spent. So we had the bio dad's name, and then we asked the second cousin if we can contact him. My new sibling did that, and he said yes. I think one of my siblings found his address and wrote him a letter, and it was like a really great letter. Like, I don't want anything from you. I just want to know who you are. And he was like, how could I not respond to that? So so he responded to them, and then he said, you can call him. So I call him, and he's not my dad, to be clear. Like, this is just a guy,
Yeah.
And he had a dad joke ready, though. He was like, tell your mother she can't get a refund. Yeah. And
right.
and then we went to go meet him.
Okay. That was going to be my next question, is if you had that opportunity. All right.
Yeah, we did have that opportunity, and that was the best moment of my life.
Wow. Okay.
Because I didn't know when I met Daryl. I don't say names. One of my siblings, I sat across from him, and I was like, I had never sat across from anyone who I look like. Ever. I never knew what that looked like. It felt like to have like commonality and like look across someone and like, I'm related to you. And when I looked across at Daryl, I'm using names.
We'll bleep it out.
How'd you know, right? Anyway, and then I just wanted to touch his face. Like, I was just like, so when I met my bio dad, Jim, I was like, I met his eyes and I understood who I was. And I stood next to him and I finally felt like I knew what my body looked like in real space. And I saw how he acted. My partner was like, met him another time and was like, met him a bunch of times after, but was like, Lauren, because like, I'm very like, out of, just very lanky and out of it and just sort of kooky. And he's just like, oh my God, like, you don't have to let it into all of your genetics. You can like fight some of your genetics. I made sense for the first time because I know where I come from.
And what were some of those other things that you saw in the donor other than appearance? Maybe like personality quirks or characteristics?
So many. Like, so many. Like, my he's not exactly who I am. Like, I'm not like, I'm gonna say the apple temperament wise didn't fall far from the tree. Like, it fell right down. There's a lot of kooky. We're resistant to any sort of, resistant. We're rebellious. Anyone goes, you go left, we go right. We're just, we hate people who are, we just have like, we're health nuts and we just love to live life the way we want to live it on our own terms. And we don't care where that leaves us. And if we're less well off for that, we're just going to do what we want to do. And that is definitely a trait in all the siblings, I will say.
And I assume that was not part of the family that you grew up in.
No, they were all, they're all like go with the tradition and go into like, they're very conservative.
Okay. All right. So things are starting to click. Now, it sounds like you've engaged with the donor several times, at least. What does your relationship with him look like today? Is he on speed dial? Is it the kind of thing where you're, connecting every now and then? How's that work?
And like, I really try, I should call him more, but We get together a few times a year, and I really
Okay.
enjoy it every time we do. He's so fun. He's so fun. Yeah.
And then do you also see some of these quirks in the siblings that you're now connected to? They all have that same kind of temperament
Yeah,
and yeah.
like my I guess my partner just kind of looks at like the siblings all talk, and we all talk in this circular way, of which we're like examining ideas and questioning them at the same time. That's exhausting. And he's like, "Oh my god, there's more of you."
Wow, okay. And then so correct me if I'm wrong, your parents knew who the donor was. Is that right?
No, they didn't know who
Oh, they didn't know who it was. Okay. I thought you said this godfather. Was that just a misdirection type thing?
a
Or
misdirection. It was a false lead.
okay. Got it. All right. What else can I ask?
Yeah, it wasn't until like I was like, no, no, no. Like he was the sperm donor, my godfather. But then it was like med student, and I'm like, no. And then
Mhm.
it was like, this is a med student. But he's so crazy and weird, and it's so fun. He used to live on a houseboat.
Yeah.
He's an anesthesiologist from Newsport. He speaks like seven languages. He's just a real iconoclast, and I really dig that. He's like, and he loves it too. He's like, I like that you're all weird.
Yeah. That's really cool. All right. I guess on a generic note, let's do like a quick positive, negative question here. What do you think's I mean, I think you've touched on some of the positives and definitely some of the negatives, but what would you identify as the biggest positive coming out of having this experience? And then what's been the hardest part of it all?
Right. Because you can see it both ways. And I think I see both ways at the same time. Positive, my God, I feel like I have such a cool, unique story. I have these beautiful people in my life. I have a whole new group of friends. These like so nice to have these new half siblings. These are like other adults who love you. And it's nice to have new friends where like can never be on the table. It's like amazing. It's great. Questions have been answered a long time ago, but you could be so honest with because they're like blood.
Mhm.
Yeah. That has been the best. It's the best. And I love hanging out with a parent who hasn't had the chance to traumatize me. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Keyword. Got it. And then on the challenges side, what do you think has been the hardest part through all of this?
Well, I can't. Okay. So let's see. I just need to express myself, and I go into an industry in which you need to be able to have a sense of yourself in order to stand up for yourself because people will mow you over and overlook you and shit on you. Great. Yeah. I had zero sense of myself. Was always felt like something was wrong with me, right? Like I was gaslit. So it was like anything that would go wrong, I'm like, it's because they're seeing that I'm like an awful person or I am hopeless. So that's a terrible way. It was a lot of pain. I went through a lot of pain, and it was like, I can't believe I'm even still here in this business, but I won't give up. And I just, this is what I'm meant to do. And I meant to do this because of the experience. I'll never know, but that's what I'm here. But I feel like I have wasted so much time that I could have used with my insecurities that stemmed directly from not understanding my origins, which
Yeah.
has set me back. Because if I would have known 10 years ago, I would be in a different place, I believe.
Yeah. It's interesting you say that because I recently kind of openly acknowledged what I think my own biggest challenge is with this. And it's that feeling of having been misunderstood for that long. You know, I found out when I was 36, and not just misunderstood in my own head and like how I see myself, but also by how others see me, and not knowing my, the most important part, one of the most important parts of my story. So I hear you on that. Shifting gears slightly, you being someone who I don't think is afraid to express themselves openly in any way, is there such a thing as oversharing all of what we've experienced and being a little bit too loud about it? Because I personally, I feel like I've leaned into unabashedly speaking about this without any filters and just setting it all free. But I wonder if, like, is there a limit to that? Should there be a limit to that? Like, how do you feel about that?
People could do whatever they want to do, express themselves however they want to express themselves. I feel like when people are like, oh, they're oversharing, I don't want to hear about it. You're not the audience. Not everything's for everyone. If you don't feel like hearing it, I feel like where maybe people get in, like, okay, I'm trying to think of like where I hear people go, oh, all they do is share, because they're not funny. That's why. First of all, if you make someone laugh, I teach a class, funny side up. You should take it. Take a class. Then you can tell the story. If you're funny, trust me, no one will ever be like, whatever. And then you could also, my friend has 2 moms. He's, lesbian, like his friend, like kid of lesbian parents, and he says on his Instagram bio, I won't shut the fuck up about my moms. So like, if you're funny, no one will ever accuse you of oversharing. It's just when you get sentimental and maudlin, and people I think that's where you might get. And if people think that, they're not your audience again, because there is an audience for sentimental and maudlin. So I think you just do you, but know that that's why. Throw a joke or 2 in, and no one will care.
Yeah, I like that. Any just message that you want to put out to the community at large about some of, the most valuable insights that you've had along the way and what you think could be helpful to others who are going through this and maybe haven't sat with it for as long as people like you and I have?
Right. I think, well, one thing I will say is I would encourage you, and I guess like you can express yourself however you want. I encourage always, like when we talk about comedy workshops at conferences and stuff, I'll always say, like, do not joke about something unless you have therapized it. And therapize is a word I made up. And that means you have spoken about it in therapy. You have digested it. You can laugh about it. You can laugh about it to yourself. Yeah. Because if you're still angry, if you're still sad, and you get up on stage and you start trying to joke about it, we're not laughing. We're like, or you try to make it light of it, or you try to like make us shock us. We're not going to be like with you. We're going to be worried for you. We can sense it. The audience is very smart. So I would really encourage you, like all of what I talked about today, I have therapized. There are parts of this that I have not talked about because I have not therapized it. So I won't. Yeah. But you could, you know what I mean? I would just take it slow. This is like a lifetime of material to talk about. You don't have to talk about it. And if you can push the boundaries a little and see if you're ready to talk about something, and then you go back. Just see.
Yeah.
Take it slow.
Yeah. Dip your toes in a little bit. See if you like the water.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then I guess kind of on that note, what do you think's been the most helpful thing for you in processing all of this? Maybe it's something that you did early on or something that's still a daily or, regular practice in your life.
I stand up has been, I think, like the honesty of stand up. And I really needed to go through, I needed some help because of various reasons. And I had some key people in my life who helped me get over, just be really honest about this and understand how to be honest about it. And you know what else? Clown. I went to clown school 5 times after I found out I was donor conceived. That's an abnormal, that's too much. And clown, I don't mean like juggle. I mean like this improv that's very intensive on steroids, pioneered by Philippe Gallier in France. And they encourage you to come on with your full self and a belief that you're funny and not to be desperate, because no one laughs at a desperate actress, to be fully present with the audience, which means you have to believe that you can, and you should believe you have something to offer. And that was the most, I felt like I was able to get through all of this stuff that I had accumulated through this experience. I had a huge breakthrough, which I haven't talked about before, but it's huge breakthrough where we had this game where you had to like talk to like mama, papa, like, and I talked to my genetic father in this and into this monologue, and people said they were like crying, and I was just like speaking so honestly to the donor. And then this is so funny. And then the teacher goes, "Is that your boyfriend?" I said, "No, it's my genetic father." And then I was able to just like laugh, Clown, I recommend clown, but that is a very brave thing to do because clown, like, again, in the middle of everyone, they make you do things. So but that was helpful.
All right. Nice. Well, on the note of stand-up, do you remember what it was like the first time you got on stage and started talking about this subject matter? How did that feel?
I was always talking about it. See, I was always talking about how different I was than my family. Okay. And I remember that I was like this person who was like I was in this class for stand-up. I jumped in taking a class because I never thought I could do it. So I'm a class person. I like learning. And so Jeff Lawrence is his name. He was like, "I can't believe you don't get them in a room and be like, I'm locking the door, you fucking spaghetti heads. You better tell me." He's like, I just can't believe you don't flip out and say, I will not let you. You have to tell me that, like, things like that were always, and people would be like, are you lying? Are you really from Queens? Are you really Italian? Like, I was always joking about it. And then when I was able to joke about it like this, I feel like I don't know when this is coming out, but I'm going to be at the Denver Fringe Festival doing my new stand-up hour called Ancestry.comedy, which is talking more about this and just identity issues in general. But I think for that, my first 5 minutes is like, I think I have been more clear about who I am and what the audience is perceiving than ever. And I think that to like understand, like, yes, I know I come off as this like commie pinko lesbo from Idaho, but like I am from Queens and this is how I've navigated. I've gotten rid of my accent so I can do acting roles. Right. Mm-hmm. And I like comb my hair for my headshots so I can be a lawyer on Law and Order. Like being able to explain what they're perceiving. Because I came off stage once and I was really struggling at a point. I was like, what the fuck am I doing wrong? And this comic is like, it's like, I don't get it. He's like, you're talking about like down home stuff. Like I could tell you're not like this, but you look. Like you're from Connecticut. I was like, so yes, it's been like this great feeling of being able to like filter and hammer and like explain and really pinpoint and like put like a finger in that thing which you are perceiving. And it's taken me a few years to do that. So yeah.
That's fascinating to me that your comedy, like you didn't pivot into something new. You just leaned further into what you had already been doing.
Yeah, because I think the audience is like, what do you mean you don't know? Like, they were like mad for me. Like, we can't laugh because this is an unfinished story.
Yeah. Wow. All right. Maybe I'll have to fly out to Denver and see what the latest version of your comedy hour is.
Where are you located again?
I'm in New York also. I'm in Long Island now.
I'm going to be in Huntington. Yeah.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, I'm going to be in Huntington next Tuesday. We'll tour.
What? Okay. Yeah, we'll talk about that. Cool. Any closing thoughts? Maybe aspects of the story that we didn't touch on for some reason, or just, a final.
Yeah, I mean, always just like people can feel free to reach out to me. I'm always willing. I take a bit to get back, but I will always get back unless Instagram. I feel like email's better. Instagram, I feel like they mark things as read and then I'm lost and then I will never get back. If that I don't get back to, that's why. It's because Instagram is ruining my life. Is that they mark things read and then I will not see it. So email through my website I feel is the best, but also feel free to Instagram. I'm here. I want to like try to help. I'm here to always like try to lend some helping hand. Come to a show and always say hi. And I want to hear how it's resonating with you. And just take it one day at a time. It's tough.
One day at a time. And how can we...
Oh,
yes, we're the science experiment. Yeah, I guess we are. And real quick, on the note of how people can find you on Instagram or your website, where do we go? How do we find you?
Go to www.laurenlogiudice.com. Just kidding. I wouldn't do that to you. It's Lauren... LOGI.com. LaurenLogi.com. And I'm Lauren Logi at all the things, because when I started doing interviews, I was like, you're never going to know what that means. LaurenLogiudice.com.
Cool. All right. Everybody check that out. And I think that's all I got.
Yeah. Thank you. And I hope to see people. Denver Fringe is the first week of June. For June 4th to 6th, I'll be there. And then I offer Funny Side Up, which was my online class. I offer that once a year. Just let me know. I'll put you on the waiting list if you're interested. And then also, I'll be at the Edinburgh Fringe too for any of the across the pond with a show called American Assholes.
Very nice. All right. You've gone international. Nice. Cool. All right. Well, I'm going to hit the stop button just so this video uploads. But